What's good, everybody? RJ Shelton here off the top show. We are finally on camera with the great man, Mr. James Muenchow, aka Jimmer, aka Packer Insider for our off the top show. Brother, man, how are we doing today?
Oh man, I mean, you know, you know what? It's I don't know
Absolutely.
what to say.
Let's freaking
I
hop
mean,
right into it, man, because we are ecstatic Wisconsinites over here.
yes,
Obviously, before
sir.
we get started here, subscribe, like, tune into it. Obviously, off the top show on all platforms, social medias. I'm there. Obviously, Jimmer as well has his own. I'll be taking him as well on my stuff. But let's hop right into this game here. Green Bay Packers, man, versus the goddamn Dallas Cowboys. We went ahead and went into Jerry's World and beat that ass. 48-32. Little iffy on getting the guys out, in the second half. I wish we'd have kept them in, but we'll go ahead and get into it. Jordan Love here, 16 of 21 from the field, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns. Hello, he's got to be in that conversation of being in that MVP with Lamar. I think he's definitely made that choice for that. We said last week, Aaron Jones needs to be efficient. Hello, 21 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. That man is basically the daddy to everyone for the Dallas Cowboys. And Romeo Dobbs, that we have talked super crazy about, came out and basically shut both of us up. 6 receptions for 151 yards and 1 touchdown. Obviously, you were the main guy there on that one. And obviously the main guy is the ball was being thrown around all over the place. Luz Musgrave was getting a couple receptions. Wicks had a touchdown. Kraft was in there doing what he does. It was good to see Christian Watts out there, him getting obviously instinct of what needed to go on. Obviously, Jalen Reed didn't get enough touches, but we had a lot of guys making a lot of plays, and our defense played unreal. Jai Alexander strapped up, obviously, and did what he needed to do. Quay Walker, Campbell played immaculate. Valentine played immaculate. Nixon played immaculate. This was a unreal win for the Green Bay Packers, and for a long time for us, this was one we're like, man, we are blessed, bro. Talk to me about this game, man, and what you're feeling, because I know you've got a lot of things to say about this one.
Well, I think you remember what we said. What
Right.
does Green Bay have to do to win? You hit it on before. Aaron Jones needed to be productive, but I was talking about that perfect start.
Right.
Matt LaFleur wins the toss and goes, "Yeah, we're gonna take that. Come on, give it right over there. We'll just start right over there." Okay, so they go down the field, they score, and I had a little bit of a conversation with one of my friends during the Bears game, like, what is the philosophy? Usually teams win the toss, they defer. I'm like, but when you're on the road, do you take the ball and then what? Because the crowd's already loud.
Excuse me. Right.
Like they're already going nuts. So if you win the toss, yeah, you can defer, and then the crowd's was really loud, and then all of a sudden they have to chill out because the offense gets on the field. Matt LaFleur said, they can be loud. We're just gonna go down the field and score, and that quiets the crowd really. Like, wow, okay, whoa, all right, we let them go down and score, and it snowballed from there. Then Dak throws a pick. Then they score again, and then they score. We get a stop. Then we go down and score again, and then next thing you know, they throw Dak. Man, it was just like, what else could go wrong for Dallas Cowboys? But what else could go right? Pick six. It's 27-0, and I am sitting here going, what? like,
What?
this is like what we talked about, and we need to start perfect. That was more than perfect. That
Right.
was immaculate.
Right.
That was, you cannot start a game better against any team.
Right.
Any team. You do that against any team, you're gonna win.
Absolutely.
Unless God forbid the wheels fall off, you're gonna win. So that was Jordan Love. My God, as you said, we are blessed. As Packer fans, we are blessed. We did it again. And
Yes.
he only threw the ball 21 times. Again, Aaron Jones, the offensive line, another outstanding performance. I thought it was going to be a little bit shaky of a day. The first like 4 or 5 plays, all of a sudden, DeMarcus Lawrence is in the backfield wreaking havoc. Micah Parsons is getting held a little bit, maybe a couple calls every now and again. And I was like, okay, he's getting going. But after they scored, nowhere, nobody.
Right.
They had 9 All-Pros. They had defense was the number 3 scoring defense in the league. The offense was the number 1 scoring offense in the league. But what have we seen with this Dallas, or not with Dallas Cowboy teams, but with Dallas Cowboy teams, because it's been since '95. You and I were 1 year old since they made it to an NFC championship game.
Right.
It's a Mike McCarthy type start. Like, we've seen it since 2008. All of a sudden,
Right.
Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, we're flying in through the regular season, beating all comers, and then all of a sudden, when it matters most, maybe we get a home game, maybe we go on the road. Most of the time, we were like, crap, because it's just a team that looks unprepared and not ready to play until all of a sudden you're down 27-0. So
Exactly.
I think this is and it was just so weird for the fact that after 3 drives, all of a sudden CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott are at each other's throats when they were the deadliest duo in the NFL. Like, that was very strange to me. Like, seeing those two just get after it and Mike having to go play peacekeeper. So it'll be very interesting from that front. But Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur, they went out and got this kid Jordan Love. They traded up. They could have went it all in. They could have maybe traded up to go get maybe a Justin Jefferson. They could have done a lot of things to help out Aaron Rodgers after an MVP season. But they said no. Like, we're going to take this kid. And yeah, it pissed a lot of us off, me included. But now, that is the best move the Packers had. That's probably a top 5 Packer history move. Like, Reggie White.
It has to be, bro. Has to be.
Like, signing Reggie White, signing Charles Woodson, trading for Brett Favre. I mean, the Aaron Rodgers thing was probably not in their books because he was probably supposed to go 1-1. But then all of a sudden he falls into their lap and they're like, well, I guess. So, like, it was a smart decision, but it wasn't like something they doctored up to where they thought they were even going to have a chance at him. So, like, this is a top 5, maybe even top 3, and arguably the best Packer move ever. So,
absolutely.
Congrats to the front office for that. We've been highly critical of them for how they go about their business. But now we are in an era where maybe they can start being a little bit more aggressive, going all in.
Right.
They could do that. But then you look at the offense. Do you really need to do that?
Right.
Do you need to go get a veteran guy that's 1,000-yard receiver? Nah, I don't think so. It would be nice. Now, don't get me wrong. You could go draft a guy. Cool. Go ahead and draft a dude. But we don't. I mean, Jordan Love's got a lot of weapons, and let's get into it. I said last week, I think Romeo Doubs is on the outside looking in. Here, there, and everywhere. And every time he caught a ball, our boys Nick and Tony were looking right at me and giving him the old bird to Jimmer to the point where every time he caught the ball and someone didn't see it, I was just like, hey, Romeo Doubs just caught another, 20-yard pass. Yep, thank you. Appreciate that.
Shout out to the gang. I already know what they were doing to you.
They listened to the pod last week, and my phone was blowing up. I was like, oh, okay. But so they did make a really good point. So Jordan Love had 4,100 passing yards this year. It's a really good year.
People, 4,100 yards. I literally had that guy. I'm going to say this. I had this man literally having only 2,500 and probably evened out on touchdowns. Going in it realistically. It's crazy.
And I looked up some stats. So I wanted to just do a little comparison. So Aaron Rodgers in 2014 threw for 4,500 yards.
Mm-hmm.
2,700 of those yards came from Jordy Nelson with 1,400
Yep.
and Randall Cobb with the
Yep.
remainder. Jordan Love threw for 4,100. You know what his leading receiver is? It's Jaden
800
Reed
yards.
for 783 yards.
Holy
Like,
Jesus.
he threw. That's okay. So where's the other 34? Well, if my math is correct, like 34, 3,300 yards coming. Romeo Dobbs, 683. Christian Watson maybe had about 400. I mean, he didn't play so
Right.
much. Aaron Jones, I think he had 350. And then you had throw in Dontavian Wicks, 500. I think AJ Dillon had about 380. Bo Melton, who? 286. And then you had Malik Heath maybe throwing another 150. Like, he is spreading the ball around so much. You don't even want to go out and get anybody. You mean you could, but I think
Right.
Christian Watson's and Romeo Dobbs and Jaden Reed and even Dontavian Wicks, those guys are just so good all together that it's just like I think you're better off not knowing there's a number one or not knowing there's a guy. So that was a very good point that I like. Yeah, Romeo Dobbs isn't jumping off the page, but I mean nobody's jumping off the page as a 1,000-yard receiver, but
Right.
it's so evening out that it's even more impressive to that understanding.
No,
So,
absolutely.
and
And to
then,
add on to what you're saying there, just a guy that obviously played that position and knowing that camaraderie and being in that group and everyone just getting the ball, spreading it out. If you got guys like that, you look at it from a cap space, right? You can get those guys cheap for 3-4 years. So it's like,
we don't
why
have to
would
pay
you?
another.
Why,
Yeah, you're
exactly.
right.
Why would you? And to add to you, why would we go ahead and go do that when we
No.
already right now are clearly have been proven wrong this whole year that they got guys. And so let's just ride it out for 3 years. But carry on. I wanted to just go ahead and say that because once you got that, bro,
you're right.
you're good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We don't have to pay Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs for another 3 years.
Right.
And we don't have to pay Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, all those other rookies that I named for another 4.
Right.
And we're still and this is first and second years. There's still development out there. Now you could maybe go draft more coming to the end of
Right.
it. Maybe all right, we'll have to start somewhat over with some of these guys. You could trade some of them towards the end of that deal, where if they're doing so well to the point where you can't keep them, all right, let's trade them for draft capital. They're in a really good spot. Let's just say that. They are in such a fantastic spot. So again, with this Dallas Cowboy game, I think we found out a little bit that one, this offense is for real.
Absolutely.
Dan Quinn was aggressive. He brought the house. He tried to stop the run, but he couldn't stop the pass either. There is nothing he could have done to do it, and he tried to bring pressure, as we saw, and Jordan Love checked out. He brought 2 guys in to block because they're bringing 6 to his 5, so he brought 2 more in, and then he just throws over the top of them to Dontavian Wicks. That was the most impressive play. That was my most favorite play, is that Dontavian Wicks touchdown. He literally had a pop quiz right there. He brought a hard count. 2 guys came in. He saw blitz. All right, we're out. We're gonna change this up. We're gonna redo everything. All right, bring it now. Over the top. Touchdown.
And he double clutched it. He double clutched it.
He had to re-angle his arm because 14 on Dallas was coming around. So he's just like, oh, let me just change it to here. Oh, bang, done. It's just like, come on, man. He is being handed questions, and he is answering them to perfection.
Yes.
He is so prepared. And I think Nick Bosa came out today or yesterday. I think that was an actual quote. He said, Jordan Love is scary. He goes, Aaron Rodgers is scary because he's Aaron Rodgers. But Jordan Love is just as scary because he's running an offense the way it's coached. And yeah, Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur gave some leeway to Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers was a West Coast guy. Matt LaFleur wasn't so much of a West Coast guy. So now it's all Matt LaFleur offense. And Jordan Love is basically running this offense how it's coached.
Right.
And Nick Bosa said that's pretty scary because we're seeing what he's doing. He's like, and he's being handed all the questions and he's answering them all to perfection. So, man, Green Bay did it again. I mean, we've said it for the past 3-4 episodes. They did it again. We have
Right.
the formula is there. If this doesn't prove to teams, how do you stay successful? Unfortunately, some teams can't run that by that formula. Like Carolina can't run that formula. It's just some other teams that need to draft some quarterbacks year one. You get
Right.
away with it with guys like Patrick Mahomes. You get away with it, guys like Joe Burrow.
Right.
Like Joe Burrow's 1-on-1.
Right.
You can throw him in. He was already pro ready, and they gave him some help with his college teammate Jamar Chase. So there's not many teams that can just draft and shove you in there and go, all right, you're in, like, and go perform now. There's not many teams that can
Right.
do that. Green Bay does it right. You get the star, you draft the next one, you sit them behind for 3 years and prepare them, and then what the trial by fire isn't as bad, and then you see results, I guess, relatively quickly because we got to remember this. Week 3, they were being booed off at halftime.
Right.
Week 3, same game. They didn't get a first down until 4 minutes left in the second quarter of the Saints game. And there were sarcastic cheers that, oh my God, we got a first down. It's their first one of the half. Hey, everybody. That was all around Lambeau. That team felt that energy. It couldn't have got any lower to Matt LaFleur when he kicked a field goal down 14-3, missed it, ran off into the tunnel at halftime. Then the refs came back out. No, there's a penalty on the defense. We're going to kick this again. Like, there's no lower lows than that.
Right.
And this team was 2-6. Like, we were talking about Caleb Williams Bowl. We were talking about, is Matt LaFleur going to be through? Like, is he going to make it through the season? Is Matt LaFleur the answer? Is Jordan Love the answer? And then all of a sudden, just like, hey, it's like, now we're talking about Jordan Love's the guy. Matt LaFleur has done a phenomenal job. We're back to expecting some wins, like, on a regular basis, which you and I were
Right.
saying 9-8. Well, they got 9-8, but now we're going into places like Dallas, the number 1 team and the number 3 defense, and we are throwing a 48 piece up. Oh my God! Like, what is
Man.
going? Like, so this is unbelievable for
Right.
this whole team because they could go into San Fran this week and get absolutely smacked. But
Right.
I don't think, like, that would suck. Like, that would suck for them. Like, nobody likes to lose. But this team of rookies and kids, guys younger than you and
Mhm.
I, going into Dallas, putting a beat down on the star, the legendary star that everybody is seeing for
America's quote unquote team.
team, in front of their stands, in front of, like, in one of the best stadiums in the NFL, and you just smacked them up and down the field over and over and over and over again. So that is just an absolute huge win for just the team in general. So hats
Exactly.
off to them. And now we move on.
We do. And I want to go ahead and just sum it up, obviously, with this Cowboys. And then obviously we're going to talk about, obviously, this big matchup against the 49ers and the rich history between the Packers and the 49ers and the playoff time that goes back
Mm-hmm.
decades. I was so pleased with the defense. I was so pleased. I've been wanting this for so long from Jair Alexander to go ahead and be Jair Alexander. He was pushing CeeDee Lamb around. He was getting underneath his skin. He was getting underneath whoever was coming his way. And that secondary boy was balling. They were on what, making timely plays like we were talking about. That pick, when I saw
Yeah.
that pick by Savage, I'm like, oh my God.
He read that play like a book.
A
That
book.
was absolute, like, first of all, that was a great defensive call by Joe Barry, which you'll never hear me say ever again.
Right. Joe Barry, you better keep doing that, brother, because we liked what you
I'm
did last weekend, buddy.
I'm scared. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am scared because this now all of a sudden Joe Barry's gonna ball out like he just did, and now he's going to keep his job. And then we're going to start the season. You know what? I don't want to talk about it. You're going to get. So, but honestly, like that was a play call. Like that had to have been
Right.
something they seen on film.
Right.
That so they. I don't know what Dak was even looking at. First of all, I know what he was looking at, but that's a play they ran. He ran the motion over to see what coverage they are in, and it was clear that it was man because Campbell traveled with him. But
Mm-hmm.
Campbell traveled to switched out onto CD, and then Darnell came down. He took the one, and you read it inside out. You read the 1 to 2 to 3. He didn't even read the one, and
At
Savage
all.
saw that, and because Quay Walker had the leverage he did, like if he passed him off, Quay was coming in to meet him. He just basically read his eyes, got off of him, and hello, but I'm going to
Hello.
take that for 6 that way. Appreciate it. It
And
was
that right
like
there made me want to go ahead and say, Savage, we're gonna sign you back, brother. I
I,
love seeing
I think he's
that
made
for him
yeah.
because he needed that. He needed that. He
Yeah,
needed that.
I think you're very right. I think he's played his way into this is the last year. Like he's a free agent. I think he's played his way into another contract. Like,
I think he
and
has as
we've been a
well.
little critical of him. I mean, it's a little bit critical of his coaching too, because they play very conservative. They don't let anything pass them, which allows things underneath. He's not very
Right.
aggressive coming up. That was like again, they kept Dak on their toes, which they needed to do, which thankfully the hot start helps too because they're going to have to throw the ball. Like it's not hard to coach a defense when you're up 27. Now
Right.
it's pretty much just all right, just don't let anything behind you, don't let anything quick.
Right.
So again, as you said, hats off to Darnell Savage. I think he's going to get another contract this year. We'll see, but they still need I still think they need some safety help. But I don't. I disagree with you thinking about Devondre Campbell. I don't think he played that well. Oh, I was screaming at the television when he dropped that pick.
Oh, when he
That
dropped, yeah, I forgot
yeah,
about that. Like
but
he played better than he normally did. Like I'm not
yeah,
saying
he
he
played.
played
Yeah,
great, but he played better than he has previously. That
yeah,
though,
I
that
agree.
just dawned on me. Like, bro,
Yeah,
catch the damn ball. Like, come on,
I,
put the nail in the
yeah,
coffin.
yeah. That would have been an absolute nail in the coffin because then, I mean, I think Green Bay probably just runs out the half, but
Yes.
maybe they get aggressive and they try to go for 3. I don't know. But
Right.
I think Devondre Campbell. I mean, you can't deny what they did. So I mean, nitpicking. Yeah, Devondre was probably my least favorite person in that game, but who cares? They fucking
We
who
won.
cares?
Who
It was
cares?
It was 40. The score says 48-32. It was 48-16. Like they started.
Absolutely.
I disagreed with Matt LaFleur pulling the offense at 6 minutes left. Um,
Absolutely.
Mainly because Dallas had 3 timeouts. That's basically given a 20-second possession and punting. Like Dallas saw
Right.
that, and Mike McCarthy used all of his timeouts because it was 48-24. He's basically like you're giving him the ball back after a 20-second possession.
Right.
Like you don't. It's the playoffs. I mean, Matt LaFleur acknowledged he messed up, but I mean, since he acknowledged it, we don't have to talk about it. I disagreed with it. I
Right.
didn't disagree with like pulling Quay Walker a little early. Jair got hurt, which I was like, oh, come on.
Right.
Pulling guys like Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, like those guys, if people have nagging injuries and you're up 48-24, go sit. Go sit down.
Right.
Like, I agree with that. I agree with it. So Christian Watson was in. He did get a decent snap count, I would like to say, but he only had 1 catch. Jaden Reed didn't have a catch. Like, that's how
Right.
scary. That's the other scary thing about this offensive performance. Like, you had your number 1 and number 2 guys get nothing, not because they didn't play well. It's just he only threw the ball 21 times.
Right.
Like, there's only so many people you could throw to, especially when 150 of his 269 yards came from Romeo Dobbs. Yes, I know.
Right.
I messed up. Yes. Okay. Yes, I will take all of it. I did take all of it. You know what? I might
Right.
double down. I wasn't impressed by Romeo Dobbs. performance. I want 200 yards out of him next time. I was unimpressed. Just kidding. But
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
no.
So I was told maybe I should start talking shit about Jaden Reed because then he'll go off for 150. You mean, I just say, hey, reverse psychology. It works. All right.
I mean, at this
So
point, it
yeah,
does, brother.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that was.
It's a great game.
There's nothing bad to say about the game. Really, there is.
Absolutely.
So
Well, that's the cap, obviously, with the Cowboys game. Now, let's just go ahead and talk about this 49ers game here. They got the San Francisco, just talking about odds here, at 9.5. They got the over-under 50.5 points. So for all, obviously, the bettors and everything out there, that's what it's at. But let's talk about this, man. This is going to be another test, right? You know, they got tested against the Cowboys, and they've answered the bell. I think we talked about it earlier when we were talking about just that Dallas sequence. What are we going to get? I mean, if we're getting this, I feel that we can go ahead and compete. This is a great 49ers team. They're going to be coached very well. They're going to be dissected like no other because you know who's on that other end at head coach, especially for the 49ers. And the 49ers are always prepared. Their D-line, top of the league. Their defense, I mean, back end when it comes linebackers, back end, number one to me every year. I don't care about no stats, no nothing. They come to play and they're coached very well. And then the offensive side, obviously, good running game, got a whole bunch of weapons, great quarterback play. What are you, not to put you on the spot here, but what are you looking at from a Packers fan in as soon as you see like how we saw the first play, like, okay, we're coming to do something. Are we going to be on that same type of avenue, or what do you think is going to be going down?
I think the offense won't change. There'll be some wrinkles that we won't see to our eye because, I mean, they obviously others will see it because they're a little bit more in depth than usual. But to our eye, I think this offensive game plan really doesn't change no matter who they play. It looks the same. You're running Aaron Jones. You're setting up play action. Jaden, and it doesn't look much different. So I think offensively, I think they're going to do the same thing. I think they're going to try to get Aaron Jones on track. I think they're going to try to set up play action. I think San Francisco is going to throw everything at them in the sense of how many people are we rushing? Are we going to rush 5? Are we going to rush 4? Are we going to rush 6? Are we going to bring the house? I think their defensive coordinators, from Robert Saleh, who's now gone, to whoever's there, just has that same mentality. Jordan Love is going to get so many different looks. I think 49ers want to try to get there with 4 because they have Nick Bosa, who is a monster, just like Mike Parsons was. But then they got Chase Young on the other side, which, he was a 1-2 guy. But with Nick Bosa over there, he's going to get one-on-one matchups, and, you can't forget who he was and who he still kind of is. So 49ers love to play physical. Green Bay isn't really that much of a physical team. I think they get beat up by teams that love to get physical. Fred Warner in the middle, one of the best in the game. The back end, as you said, always physical, always flying around. It's going to be tougher for the offense than it was in Dallas. Dallas, yes, they broke a lot of records this year with their corner that had 6 pick sixes in a year. Unfortunately, they had Stephon Diggs' brother go down, Trayvon Diggs, for season-ending injury. It looked good on tape, but they weren't. San Francisco is probably going to have to realize that they have to get pressure on Jordan Love. They can't let him sit there, manipulate the pocket, throw the ball around all day. They got to get to him, and they got to stop the run. So, and it's really tough when the head coach of the head coach of the 49ers is really good friends with Matt LaFleur. They run the same offense. He knows. I hope Matt knows that he knows his looks and his keys and everything like that. So Matt's going to have to get a little creative on how to disguise some things. So in that aspect, I think, again, just like Shanahan on the other side, they want to get their run game going because then they can get their play action pass going.
Absolutely.
Defensively, man, It's gonna have this team is gonna be, as you said, more organized than and way more prepared than a Mike McCarthy team. Like
Absolutely.
this team is not gonna. I mean, we've seen Brock Purdy get rattled, so you're gonna have to do what you did to Dak. Like you're gonna have to get a pick, an early pick. You're gonna have to do something. You're gonna have to fluster him in somehow, way, shape, or form. Except that's not what that offense is built on. You got to stop Christian McCaffrey, which
Exactly.
Green Bay is not very good at stopping the run. And Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the NFL. Dual threat
Hello.
running back.
No, he's the best running back, brother. You don't need it.
Yeah, well,
he's
he's the best
he's
pass
RB
catcher.
number
Yeah,
one.
yeah, he's RB
He's
one,
RB number
and he's
one.
not. Yeah, he's top two, not two. He's
Exactly.
number one. So if you stop Christian McCaffrey, which the front seven is going to have to come play, like that has to be number one priority. Do not let Christian McCaffrey run absolutely wild, get 5 yards of carry on you. Then you got to try to stop Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and then still Christian McCaffrey because he can catch the ball out of the backfield too and line up in a slot. Kyle Juszczyk. I mean, I was looking at this Dallas Cowboy game basically saying like, yeah, they're going to have to play the perfect game. They're going to have to do it again. But the 49ers are way more organized and way more disciplined. And so you're going to have to start fast again. If they win that coin toss, if Green Bay wins the coin toss, don't be surprised if they take that ball again and try to start. So I don't know. And it's such a tall order, dude.
No, it is.
They're the most complete team in the NFL. We've seen them have hiccups. Like, don't get me wrong, they're human. It's any given Saturday. Now it's Saturday because they play Saturday. It could happen. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like they're invincible, but again, you got to play a perfect game. And I mean the same way you played against Dallas. Offense has to be efficient, has to get first downs, got to have sustaining drives. And defense, you got to get off the damn field, whatever it may be. Sack, just bad pass, whatever it may be, pick, fumble. You got to win the turnover battle. You got to throw another immaculate game. And do I see Green Bay doing that? I didn't see them doing it against Dallas, and they did it. So now I can say, yes, I could see them doing it, only because evidence says so. But do I see them doing it again? The chances of that, I think, are pretty slim. Because for some reason, Kyle Shanahan just has Matt LaFleur's number. It's just a thing. Like, it's just a matchup thing. Sometimes, I mean, you've played against teams, I've played against teams where no matter what you do, it's just different year, maybe different player. It doesn't matter. It's like, geez, like, can't beat these guys no matter what we have, no matter what we do. So I've only seen Matt LaFleur get the best of Kyle Shanahan once or twice, and it's never been in the playoffs. So we'll see. It's another warm weather game. They went down to Dallas, they played indoors, and now they're going to go to San Francisco. I don't think California is really going to be that, like, deathly warm. The sun's going to start going down. It's probably going to be about 50 degrees, maybe 40.
Right at home.
That's all. Right now, that is like get my T-shirt, get the grill out, shorts.
That's what I'm saying,
throw some brats on the grill. That is wonderful. So
absolutely.
But they gotta pitch a perfect game again. So I don't know if if they're capable of doing it again. But we're gonna see, and it's gonna be fun. Again, am I gonna be disappointed if they lose? No. I mean, it's gonna suck. I mean, I don't like seeing my team lose, but at the same time, if it's in convincing fashion where it just is like, they're the better team, sometimes you just gotta admit, hey, I was wrong. Like, or hey, they were just better. And I think San Francisco was a better team, and I don't think anybody's gonna really deny that. But
no, absolutely, absolutely, I'm right with you. We do. We have opportunity, right? You said already. You took the words out of my mouth, right? I am pleased of what I've saw already. We were not supposed to be here. We were not even supposed to be in this type of picture ever. So
Nope.
now they have an opportunity to show themselves. There's again, this is another game. There is no pressure on the Packers. There's
Mm-hmm.
none
Nope.
whatsoever. They go out and play. Have those guys, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be a test battle game. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have ups and downs. You're going to go ahead and actually have another week again, we talked about. Prepare for another team. Prepare for another opportunity to possibly go and play another game. And I'm sure Matt LaFleur's in there not talking about Super Bowl, not talking about this is just games. These are games to play. Go out and beat your man one-on-one, and we will have an opportunity to go ahead and get where we want to get to. And
That's
clearly,
the
I think that was the
yep.
message that they talked about with the Cowboys. And look at what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for
Yep.
this game. I'm excited to see what the Packers do. I'm
Yep.
excited to see how they respond when it comes to time zone. Maybe it might be, say, for instance, let's reverse psychology here. It might be 21-0 going in the second
Mm-hmm.
half. What are you going to do? Are you going to come back and fight and chip back away and maybe cut it, maybe have opportunity, fourth quarter to come and do something? I think this is going to be a good game. I think this is going to be a game that people think that, it's the 49ers. I mean, they got them at a 9.5. They got them at 9.5.
Down at funny enough, it's down to 8.5 now. Like I've
Now
seen
it's
some sites on
8.5.
it
So it's just like,
because people
it's crazy.
saw that performance Green Bay put in last week. They're like, that's a lot of points for a team that scores like that. Like,
And you
am I
think
worried
they're
about the? Yeah, am I worried about the
no, before
offense?
you go.
Yeah, am I worried about the offense? I mean, it's San Francisco is not going to make anything easy. You're going to have to grind that
Right.
out.
Right.
But if you put in an offensive performance like you have for the past 2 months, like sure, go for it.
Right.
Let's go.
No,
Like,
absolutely. And
yeah,
I was just
I
going to add
mean,
on top of
you can
that.
hang it.
I was going to add on top of what you were saying. Like, if we played like we played last week, or we played against Dallas, going into
Oh,
this game,
you can beat.
because it's going to
You're
be
going
a
to beat
shootout. Like they're
everybody.
gonna answer back and like this is gonna be one of them games where like
Yeah.
they're gonna answer, we're gonna answer back and forth, and I feel it's gonna come down to just one timely possession for a team to obviously
Yep.
move on. But if we play exactly, because I was gonna be like, what are like key points? I don't give a shit about them key points. If we play what we did last week against the Cowboys and we bring this into Levi
Mm-hmm.
Stadium, we are gonna have an opportunity to go ahead. Are we gonna be in Green Bay for that game?
Nope. Can't. We're the 7th seed. We locked in for road games. We might be going to Detroit.
If we go to Detroit, oh my God.
We might be going to Detroit. We might be going to Tampa, which to be totally honest with you, we can move on from Green Bay, like, and talk about the other playoff games.
Right.
But
Right.
watching that Detroit Los Angeles game, I think Detroit just knocked out the hottest team in the playoffs. Green Bay's like, don't get me wrong, Green Bay is playing really well, and they're looking like a red hot team. Los Angeles, I was like, oh my God, like they were flying. Like in
Right.
Detroit, came out early, smacked them in the mouth, but Los Angeles came back and gave them some punches back and made it a very great game. Like that's such a great game. I was actually really happy to see Detroit win, not only because getting rid of LA, but like that franchise is like they've waited so long for a playoff win,
Hell
and
yeah.
now and then when Green Bay won earlier, if they won, they knew they were getting another one. Like
Right.
they weren't. They're like, oh, we're gonna be at home again. So,
Right.
hats off to them. We'll go quick fire here. The
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles Tampa Bay game, bro, that just looked like a team that quit on their coach.
Absolutely. Well, look
like,
at the situation. Like, it's not even like I don't care. And this is just someone obviously that has been in that position in that high of level. I don't give a shit what's going on when it comes to outside noise. The in-house needs to be taken care of. And clearly, no one was on the same page in that second half moving forward. You got Hurts being Hurts, talking about, yes, he's a, good dude doing what he needs to do. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, where is A.J. Brown not playing? Like, was he really that hurt not to play? Come on, bro. This is the playoffs, bro.
I mean, yeah, it's
But I'm just
playoffs.
saying, though, like your quarterback is playing with a broken finger. Like, so what
Yeah.
are we talking about for real? What are we talking
Yep.
about? So are you trying to make this now more of yourself to where now you want to get paid? You
Mm-hmm.
know, are you trying to set up for another contract? What are you trying to do? So like now this is
Yeah.
not about the team. This is not about guys getting together and getting back to the Super Bowl. This is about you.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since I
Yeah.
saw that interview with him and he's like, you know, the fans, this and that, that's what comes a part of it, my good brother. Well, if you are an
Mm-hmm.
NFL player, you have everything that comes in house with it. From the media, from the fans, from things that you get every single day, from good or bad. But you got an in-house. They were screwed from when December started. They were screwed already.
They went 2-6 in the last 8 games. I mean, and they weren't even hurt at that point. So
Exactly.
this team quit on Nick Sirianni, which am I a Nick Sirianni fan? No. But it's really kind of I find it just really interesting that a team I think this is Sirianni's second year
Yep.
coaching. It's like last year you were in the Super Bowl. I just find it really and then you started off 10-1 and now all
Ten
of a
and
sudden like
one, Jimmer. 10-1.
you're quitting on your coach like that's they got to clean some stuff up out there. It may require a head coach change, which again I'm not a big fan of Nick Sirianni just from his attitude and
Right.
getting after fans and everything like that. Like bro, come on now, you're an NFL head coach, you're above that. Like I love the
Right.
energy he brings, but something's going on in that building where
Right.
something that he's doing just isn't correlating to his players. So
Absolutely.
I think Philadelphia. I mean, Philadelphia is a hot-headed town, as you know. They have some of the worst. I think some of the worst sports fans.
Ever,
Very
bro.
passionate, but they have some of the worst sports fans around. I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised if Philadelphia fires their coach. AFC, um, Kansas City and Miami. I think this one is pretty just clear cut. Miami looked
Yeah.
cold. They
First, absolutely, bro. First, you coming
like.
from? I was just in the 305 literally this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You trying to tell me them boys ready to go ahead and get in that cold weather? I got off the plane. I'm like, ooh wee. No wonder why that. No wonder why. Excuse me. The Dolphins felt the way they do coming to
Like
somewhere cold because you can't get accustomed to it. You can't get accustomed to
no.
that.
In a day or a couple hours? No. Like
No.
they're the fastest team in the NFL, and the only thing that was going to slow them down was that cold. Like and
Exactly.
Tua is not a cold weather guy. I understand. Like they play in the AFC East. You got to go play New York. You got to go play New England. You got to go play Buffalo at least once a year, and you might have to do it inside, like in their house when it's January out. It's going to be cold. But you know what? You had a chance to win the AFC East the week prior against the
Hello.
Bills, and you did not do it. Guess where you would have been if you would have won that game? Nice,
At the
bundled
crib.
up, warm against the Steelers, and it would have been nice 75 degrees out, and y'all would have been flying around that field. And then when you
Right.
win that, if you win that game, guess who comes to your house? Then Kansas City comes to your house. And then
Right.
the game could be completely different, but you didn't take care of business in Week 18, so you had to go to Kansas City during the Arctic wave, and it was -7 out. My goodness, it was. I mean, holy Moses, that's cold. And you know what?
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I mean, there's some calls in that game where I was like, that's a Pat Mahomes call. Getting kind of Tom Brady-ish, where I'm getting kind of annoyed with it. But
Right.
Isaiah Pacheco, they had a great game plan. It's called turn around, hand the ball off to Isaiah Pacheco because that man is angry at something every freaking game of the week. And it's -7 out. The Dolphins wanted nothing of that. They did not
No
want to hit.
parts.
They did nothing. So it was just that simple. Miami looked cold, and that's the only thing. And their offense is built on speed, and that's the only thing that was going to slow them down was that type of cold. And then for me, Buffalo versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh just turned the ball over too many times. There was some really fishy officiating in that one too. Like it was very noticeable to me where
Who
it
they
just
wanted to
seemed like
win.
they wanted Buffalo to win so they could get that Buffalo
Absolutely, they
KC
did.
matchup.
Hell
Like
yeah.
don't get me wrong, it was 31-14. I'm pretty sure it was the final score. And but again, you turn Pittsburgh, you turn the ball over. Like you turned the ball over twice, and it was basically like Green Bay versus Dallas. Like they were turning the ball over left and right. You turned it over for a third time, and you got away with a with a bad review, which it could have been your third in a row, and then it would have been. I don't even care about the officiating at that point. But there's some fishy calls, but I just didn't think Pittsburgh was good enough to begin with anyway. So yeah, that great week. It's still a great week of playoff football.
Man, and
And
you forgot to talk about C.J. Stroud. I was going to introduce it anyways. How about the Texans
oh,
dog walking the Browns like that?
that was one of my. And you know what? I thought Cleveland was going to make a sincere push because Joe Flacco looked like Joe Flacco we've never seen before, or Super Bowl Joe
Right,
Flacco. That defense that I thought they were one of the best in the league. And
right,
CJ, they came out, they were down. They were down. Like Cleveland smacked them in the mouth a little bit, but Houston just got up and said, "I didn't hear no bell." Like
right,
they just went out and scored 35 unanswered, two picks from Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco being Joe Flacco. Like the clock struck midnight on the Cinderella story for Cleveland, which probably might be a little bit of a better situation for them because now they don't have a who's the guy
right,
situation. Like, what do we do with Deshaun Watson? Even though we just guaranteed 243 million to him, now they can go back to Deshaun Watson because Joe Flacco just had a really bad game. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. You saved us, got us
right.
to a playoff appearance. But now we're thanks, appreciate it. We'll be in touch possibly. So
No,
CJ
absolutely.
Stroud, bro. That boy is. See, that's the other, like, that's what I've been talking about with Jordan Love earlier. Like, not many guys come into the league, right, and just light the world on fire. I mean, CJ
Hello.
Stroud had the same thing as Jordan Love. He started off and then he got a little better, and then he got really good, and then he had a couple more games of meh, and now he's just like, I'm that dude. Like, I'm him. And he is him. Like, he is now easily a top 10 quarterback in the league, and he is pushing for top. I think if he's in the top five, he's five.
Absolutely.
But if he's not in the top five, he's six. Like
Right,
he's like that. So he is him, and the Texans did a really fantastic. Like they were aggressive in that draft. They went 2-3 in the draft. They got the best pass rusher, which you need pass rushing in the NFL, and you need quarterback. And they went out and got
right.
two of the three most important positions outside of left tackle. So
Yep,
now they got Nico Collins, and then
yep.
Devin Singletary looks like a player we have never seen before. Like we saw him on Buffalo. Do you think Buffalo's sitting over there like, man, you could have ran like that with us, you'd still be
That's what I'm
here?
saying.
But
That's what
they
I'm
found
saying.
James Cook, so Buffalo doesn't really need him. Like he has weapons just all around him, and that defense is getting after the quarterback. They're flying around, so that's going to be a fun matchup. Baltimore, two really similar-ish quarterbacks because they're both mobile, and Baltimore and Houston, and I think that's going to be a really fun game. It's going to be in Baltimore. We're going to see what kind of conditions Baltimore is. Houston is
Right,
not inside anymore. It
right.
could be a factor. So,
No,
um,
absolutely. Well, let's get into those games, though. Just obviously the people. Obviously, we're going to just wrap it up here.
yes,
Uh,
sir.
Texans versus Ravens is 3:30 p.m. on Saturday. That is the first game to kick off, obviously, divisional round. And then obviously we've already talked about the Packers versus the 49ers. That's at 7:15 p.m. And then Sunday we have the Buccaneers versus the Lions. That is at 2 p.m. And then that nightcap there is going to be, I think, just another classic between the Chiefs and the Bills. But now ties are turning to where the Bills are now at home. That one's at 5:30 p.m. So we can give picks and all that stuff to you, but if you want to give them now, who you got, or you haven't thought about
Let's
that
do
yet?
it.
All right,
Um,
tell me who you got between the Texans and the Ravens.
I'm I'm thinking Baltimore just has too much. I
Right,
mean, I think it's going to be a little bit different of a game because they're outdoors. I don't know. I mean, Baltimore could be 45 degrees out, or it could be a monsoon. Like we don't know what
right,
they're gonna get in Baltimore. It's January. It's the East. You never know. So, but I just think what Baltimore's finding with their weapons and with Edwards, with Lamar, and then that defense, like I just think it's going to be a little too much for Stroud. I think he's going to have to get off to a good start like he did last week. I don't think he has much room for error, though. You can't go down like you did last week. And if the weather's a factor, I think Baltimore knows how to play in it. Houston doesn't. I think Baltimore is going to win that one, and then they're going to be hosting an
Absolutely.
AFC Championship game.
Let's go. Move on over. Obviously, Buccaneers, Lions. Who you got on that one?
If I'm betting the points. So that means Bucks. I'm taking the Bucks. I'm going to take the
Yeah.
points on the Bucks.
Yeah.
But I think this Detroit team has a way different attitude than it does than Philadelphia. That defense is going to be a lot better. I think they're going to force some turnovers for Baker. Baker's been playing a lot better, but he's still Baker. Like, if you get him in, if you catch him in some looks where you trap him in, you're going to get him. Detroit needs to get the running game going, which is not easy at all against Tampa Bay's front. Like, Vita Vea is, I can't even call him a man-child. He is a bare man. Like, that dude is 350 pounds. Like, good luck moving that. But they got some weapons. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the play-action game, Devin White, and that other linebacker in there, I can't forget his name. They haunt my dreams still from the 2018 championship game. I don't want to talk about it.
Absolutely.
You were there. So I don't want to talk about it. I think Detroit goes on and wins because I just think they're a better defensive team than Philly was. They just got to keep the big plays at a minimum. Tampa Bay can't run the ball. So force Baker to beat you. I know Tampa's probably going to try to run the football. They can't run the ball. It's going to be an air raid. Make Baker throw the ball 50 times, and I think he'll be good.
Absolutely. We already know who you're taking, obviously, between Packers and 49ers, because I'm not going to allow you to go ahead and put 49ers, even though we did with the Cowboys. We got lucky on there, superstition.
I don't really enjoy the 8.5. Like, again, if I'm a bet man, I don't really enjoy the 8.5 now. Like, that's a little too the 9.5. Oh, I would have been all over that. I think it may have even started out at 10 in some places. 10, I would have been all over. Give me 10 all day. But 8.5, I'd still probably take some points. It's a little scarier, but if they're within 8, you win. I just think San Fran is going to be a little too much. They're going to run the ball. Green Bay doesn't stop the run very much. Again, they got to play a perfect game. If they don't play a perfect game, it's over. If they play 75% of a perfect game, it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close, but I think San Francisco might. If they play a 75% perfect game, it's going to come down to who has the ball last. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
Because if San Francisco has the ball last and it's a 75% perfect game, I think Green Bay loses. If Green Bay has it with the last and 75%, now I'm interested. Now we might. I mean, it's anybody's ball game at that point. So
no, absolutely. And then obviously the last one there, Chiefs versus Bills. Who you got in that one?
I just really don't want the Chiefs to win. I am getting sick of the Mahomes talk.
I want the Bills to get in there.
I think it's time for Josh Allen to get in there. I am sick of the Tom Brady calls that Patrick Mahomes is getting. I'm sick of I'm never sick of Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid is a treasure. I love that dude. I think he's hilarious. I think he's a really good coach. But I'm not sick. I used to be kind of sick of Travis Kelce. I'm getting kind of off of it after he's starting to show his colors through a podcast. I think he's just an emotional dude who loves playing football. And when you're out on the football field, he changes a lot, talks a bunch of shit. So I'm just getting really sick of the Mahomes train because I think he's starting to become just a whiner. Like, he doesn't get his way. He just starts whining. And the NFL is starting to give him some treatment, and I don't like that. So go Bills. Let's go Bills. There's a bar in Milwaukee called Stenny's. He's a Bills fan. The owner is a Bills fan. It's kind of a Bills bar. And I've been to Stenny's a couple times, and that place is awesome. And they have some great chicken wings. So
we will have to trade that out, brother, because beer and chicken, baby. You already know how that goes.
Go. So go Bills. I want to see people. Not that I don't. I want to see people celebratory diving through tables on fire in Buffalo. So I just hope Buffalo wins. Like, I'm picking that one with my heart.
Yeah.
Chiefs defense is really good. They're going to make it tough on Stephon Diggs. Snead versus Stephon Diggs. Snead is the type of corner that is going to get under Stephon Diggs' skin because
Right.
Stephon Diggs has a quick trigger. If he
Right.
starts getting flustered and he's not getting on the better end of it, it's not going to be good.
Them
But
arms are
they
gonna
got some
come
other
up like they
weapons
did
with Gabe.
last year.
Dalton
Them,
Kincaid, that
yeah.
guy the tight end they drafted out of Utah State for Buffalo is a stud. And they got a
Right.
1-2 punch with him and Knox, and then Gabe Davis, James Cook.
Yep.
I mean, they have multiple ways they can beat you now. Like it usually was air raid. They can do it on the ground now. We'll see what the weather is in Buffalo too. If it's bad, it's going to be a good game because now Kansas City has a running game too with Pacheco. So I think you don't want Patrick Mahomes to try to beat you because that's just usually not a winning recipe. So I
Right.
think they're going to try to get the ball in the hands of Pacheco. But the Bills' defense is banged up too, man. So we'll see. But I'm just hoping, God damn it, please, Bills. I'm just sick of Mahomes.
Absolutely.
Get him out of here. So
I hear you. Well, my
yes,
good
sir.
people, we thank you so much for tuning in per usual. Like I said earlier, continue to follow us. Follow us on all social medias with Off the Top Show. Me personally, just obviously type in RJ Sheldon. I'll pop up. Obviously, our Packer insider, Mr. James Muenchow, has his as well. He loves to go ahead and Twitter fingers
Carry the
hot.
G, baby. Carry this G all
Absolutely.
the way to San Francisco. Hopefully, we're gonna throw immaculate game. Let's just go to the NFC Championship game. Might be in Detroit. We might have to look into that, make an
We might
investment
have
if
to.
it's there. So, but let's get through it. I think it's gonna be so much fun on Saturday, dude. So,
Absolutely.
yes,
And with
sir.
that, my good people, man, you guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy some great football. Like I said last week, there was tons of great games on this past weekend. Jimmy, you got anything to say to these people before we head out?
It's playoff football, baby. We're gonna hit this thing down. So let's all get a great weekend in. I'm really happy Green Bay plays on Saturday.
That's so you know that's my brother, man. That's why I love you, boy.
Yes.
Come on,
sir.
man, Packers, let's get it, baby. Damn.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Absolutely. You see the energy, you see the vibes. You guys have a great goddamn week. Packers are playing 7:15 on Saturday. Let's get it.
Let's go.